Victor, your next assignment is in my office. Nathan's voice rang across the warehouse. Victor Harlan froze mid-step, forklift operators scattering out of his way like he was a storm. He spun around, expecting a prank, but Nathan Clark, now regional manager, was already standing in the doorway of the private office, his calm gaze fixed on him. Nathan watched Victor swagger toward the elevator like he owned every inch of Barrett Logistics. The same man who had humiliated him, thrown his belongings into the rain, and called him worthless all those years ago. Victor didn't know the kid he had crushed into the mud was now the one holding all the authority. "Victor, have a seat," Nathan said smoothly, motioning to the chair across from his mahogany desk. Victor's confident stride faltered. Confusion flickered in his eyes. "Nathan, this can't be real," Victor muttered, voice tight. Nathan tilted his monitor toward him. "Every bit of it is real. I'm your direct supervisor now. Let's review your employment record." Victor's face drained of color as the screen revealed everything. Performance reviews, disciplinary notes, Nathan's name signed as his superior on the latest report. His knees buckled, hands gripping the edge of the desk. "This isn't possible. You were nothing, worthless." "Yes," Nathan said quietly, letting the moment settle. "You made that very clear 11 years ago, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me." Nathan thought back to that night, the night Victor had destroyed his room, stolen his college savings, and sent him out into the rain. Nathan had been 16, drenched and humiliated, walking miles to his grandmother Margaret Clark's house. Cars had splashed dirty water across him. His mother Diane had hidden behind the curtains, and his little sister Emma had cried at the injustice. Victor's entry into their lives had seemed like salvation at first. He courted Diane quickly, showing charm, buying gifts, taking them to restaurants they couldn't afford. But behind the smiles was control, ridicule, and a cruel grip on their household. "You need to toughen up," Victor had said repeatedly, mocking Nathan's school achievements. Straight A's didn't matter, contests didn't matter, Nathan's dreams didn't matter. He had thrown Nathan out of the house with force, scattering his belongings across the front lawn, and even slapped Emma when she tried to defend her brother. Nathan had survived, hiding his pain and cultivating a mind sharp enough to rise above Victor's oppression. He poured himself into school, into books, into mentors like Mr. Henderson, who recognized his strategic mind and potential. Every insult, every moment of humiliation, had fueled him. Now Victor sat shaking in his chair, stripped of arrogance, confronted by the one he had once crushed. This isn't how," Victor stammered. Nathan leaned back, maintaining professional calm. "This is exactly how. You taught me that fear isn't respect, that cruelty has consequences. And now, Victor, I'm in charge here. It's time to discuss your performance and your attitude toward the people you're supposed to lead." Outside, the warehouse buzzed, unaware that the tyrant they tolerated was now under the control of the boy he had tried to destroy. Nathan's hands rested on the desk, steady. Years of survival, patience, and resilience had led to this moment. Victor Harlan would finally understand the meaning of power earned through integrity, not intimidation. The rain from that night long ago had stopped, but the memory of it, and the lessons Nathan carried, now guided every decision he made. And Victor was going to learn that some debts, no matter how long they simmer, always come due. That night, drenched in rain and shaking from cold, Nathan Clark huddled in his late father's bedroom at his grandmother's cottage. He made a promise he'd never forget. He would become everything Victor Harlan had insisted he couldn't be, and one day, Victor would see exactly how wrong he'd been. Margaret Clark's house wasn't grand like the Harlan estate on Oak Drive, but it had warmth. The two-bedroom cottage had radiator heat that clanged all night and windows that rattled whenever trucks rumbled by, yet it felt like home in a way that massive houses never could. She gave Nathan his father's old room, complete with high school trophies and a poster of the 1996 Green Bay Packers. "This was meant for you," she said simply, tucking him in that first night. The next morning, panic hit. How would he get to school? What would his classmates say about the boy who showed up soaked and homeless? Margaret was already flipping pancakes in the kitchen. "I called your principal last night," she said. "I explained everything. The school bus will pick you up starting tomorrow. Today, we settle you in." Margaret worked tirelessly from her living room as a seamstress, altering dresses and suits for 3 local dry cleaners. The pay was meager, barely enough for bills, but she refused to let Nathan feel like a burden. Watching her count coins to buy groceries lit a fire inside him. He had to contribute. He took a night shift at Fairway Market, stocking shelves from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., then rushing to school for 8 o'clock classes. Sleep became a luxury, and coffee his constant companion. "You're going to burn out," Margaret warned one morning as she found him asleep over his calculus homework. "I'm going to prove him wrong," Nathan said simply. Within a month, he added 2 more jobs: dishwashing at Romano's on weekends and landscaping with a small crew of workers who taught him more Spanish curses than polite conversation. Every dollar went toward groceries, bills, or a savings account at a bank Victor could never touch. Despite the exhaustion, his grades soared. 15-minute breaks became study sessions, dish pits turned into homework zones, and lawns were mowed while reviewing flashcards. Teachers noticed. Mr. Henderson, his business teacher, found him asleep against a locker one afternoon. "Nathan, you'll kill yourself at this pace," Mr. Henderson warned. "I'm fine," Nathan said, though his voice betrayed nothing. "No, you're extraordinary. Let me help." Mr. Henderson tutored him daily, bringing extra sandwiches for the boy who rarely ate. He guided Nathan through scholarship applications, wrote glowing recommendations, and reignited a dream Nathan thought Victor had destroyed: college. Community college was the only affordable option, but Nathan attacked it as if it were Harvard. Business administration major, minor in logistics, and a 4.0 GPA maintained alongside 5 jobs. Classmates assumed he was antisocial, not realizing he disappeared immediately after lectures to clock in at Fairmont Freight, a small warehouse 2 towns over. Dr. Ramirez, his strategic management professor, announced the Barrett Logistics Internship Program. 6 unpaid positions, including direct work with Charles Whitman himself. Nathan applied, pouring everything into the essay. 2 weeks later, Dr. Ramirez summoned him. "Charles Whitman wants to interview you personally," she said. Whitman was nothing like Victor had described. Sharp, intense, a man who'd built a company from a single delivery truck. Questions on supply chain, labor efficiency, problem solving. They were brutal, and Nathan answered each from experience, drawing from late-night warehouse shifts. "You work nights, maintain a 4.0, and go to school full-time?" Whitman asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes, sir. Because I have something to prove. Not to him, not to anyone, but to myself," Nathan said. Whitman studied him, then smiled. "Unpaid, though." Nathan's heart sank. "I'm creating a paid internship for exceptional candidates. You start Monday." The pay exceeded any Nathan had earned at Fairway Freight. He called Margaret from the parking lot, tears streaming. "Your father would be proud," she whispered. The internship became an obsession. While others left at 5, Nathan stayed until security kicked him out. He reorganized files, streamlined processes, and learned every role from the ground up. Whitman noticed. "You remind me of myself at your age. Hungry, determined, what drives you?" "Someone told me I'd never amount to anything," Nathan replied. "I wanted to prove them wrong. But more than that, I wanted to prove to myself that I could rise above it." Whitman smiled, warmth in his eyes. "That's the difference between revenge and success." At 27, Nathan became the youngest regional operations manager in Barrett Logistics history. Efficiency improved 41%, millions saved, and company morale soared. Victor Harlan was still somewhere in the audience, but Nathan didn't need to find him yet. His first assignment. The main warehouse Victor had ruled for 16 years with fear. Nathan studied files over the weekend: complaints, warnings, declining performance. Monday, 5:30 a.m., he sat in the observation room, watching Victor bark orders at workers who flinched at his presence. Nathan let him settle. Then Claire Bennett called through the intercom. "Victor Harlan, please report to the regional manager's office." Victor adjusted his uniform, straightened his collar, joked with a supervisor, and walked toward the elevator. He had no idea the reckoning awaited. Nathan sat behind his desk, watching him enter. The office, leather, mahogany, glass, was everything Victor had never had. Victor's rehearsed charm died mid-sentence when he saw Nathan. Color drained from his face. "Nathan, this isn't real," he whispered. "I'm your regional manager now," Nathan said calmly, revealing Victor's complete personnel file, highlighting Nathan's signature as his supervisor on the latest review. Victor's knees gave out. The man who had humiliated him for years now grasped the desk, tears forming in his eyes. Please. I was wrong, Victor stammered. No, Nathan said. You were cruel. You threw me out. You made your choices. Now you live with their consequences. He didn't fire Victor. He reassigned him to a smaller facility in Riverton, 45 miles away, under the supervision of Sandra Reeves, the same woman Victor had tried to get fired years earlier. Two choices. Take the position with a pay cut or resign. Pride didn't pay bills. Victor stayed. Weeks later, Diane Clark reached out. Coffee in neutral territory. Tears, apologies, regret. Nathan forgave her, but boundaries remained. Emma became his anchor. She pursued pediatric nursing, inspired to protect children from abuse. Margaret Clark passed last year at 74. Charles Whitman eulogized her, praising her for raising a boy who became unbreakable. Nathan inherited Margaret's cottage and her wisdom. Barrett Logistics thrived under his leadership, and he implemented the Clark Initiative, supporting over 230 young people from difficult backgrounds with scholarships, mentorship, and secure employment. Tyler, one young man thrown out at 17, rose to warehouse supervisor, writing, "Being discarded doesn't mean you're garbage. It means you're free to become anything." Nathan drives past Oak Drive sometimes, seeing a new family in the home Victor once ruled. Bikes, tire swings, chalk on sidewalks, normal childhoods thriving where his was once crushed. He smiles, remembering that the word, worthless, once hurled at him became the spark for a life built beyond fear. Victor had tried to destroy him, but Nathan Clark had transformed the pain into power, proving that resilience, integrity, and purpose are the ultimate triumph. The greatest revenge is transcendence, becoming so far beyond cruelty that it no longer matters. Nathan showed Victor that day, not through humiliation, but through his life. A story of light overcoming darkness, potential rising from neglect, and a future defined not by someone else's hatred, but by unwavering self-belief.